Hi, I'm Mark Kentwell, founder of Presence Real Estate, and today we're covering a big topic, and it's how to make offers the vendors want to accept. Many purchasers will be making offers and they think that the price is the only factor or the main factor that will get them over the line, which has an element of truth in it because the highest price is often the most desirable thing for the owner, but there are a number of other factors that are taken into account by an owner with the advice of the agent before they go ahead and accept an offer or choose a buyer they're going to work with. So I'll cover a couple of those now. By now, you'll probably be familiar with the term of cooling off period. In New South Wales, with private treaty contracts, inside the contract there is the statutory cooling off period. This was introduced so that in warm or active markets, a purchaser can secure the property, the vendor can't sell the property from under them, and other purchasers can't secure it. But then you get 5 working days to perform due diligence, such as get your finance firmed up, pest reports, building reports, strata reports, and any other factors that you need to determine before you lock in and become unconditional 5 working days later. Now, if you rescind during that period of time, there is a 0.25% of the purchase price rescission penalty that goes for the owner. And that's a really reasonable thing because you've locked them out. They've spent money on marketing, they've probably paid some interest on a loan if they have one. They've lost opportunity and some purchasers might have moved on elsewhere, but you've locked the owner in. Now, it is rare that people need to pull out during a cooling off period. It would have to be something quite substantial that you haven't been able to pick up with your eyes or a big change in circumstances, but it is there. Now, the cooling off period is something that can be waived. And this is one of the things that astute purchasers that are prepared in advance will really use to their advantage when they're putting an offer forward. So when you submit an offer, if you do it in writing, ideally through, if the agent that you're working with has a capture form on their website, which we have in our property profiles or web books, and on the website for every listing, you'll see make an offer. That form that comes up has all of the key questions in there that are going to help the agent convey you with the best foot forward, presenting you in the best possible light to give you the best chance. There's other factors the owner will take into account other than what's in that form, but if you were to say that you don't need a cooling off period because you've done your due diligence prior in relation to pest and building report, especially with auctions or friendly auctions where that's been put forward for you, you've got pre-approval or unconditional approval on finance, you've had a good look at it, you really are confident you want to go for it, then if you waive your cooling off period, the vendor is taking less risk to work with you. And if you waive your cooling off period and put your offer on a contract for sale, which would be help presented by a solicitor that may have reviewed the contract at no charge for you, you fill in the offer in a compliant form, and then you get the cooling off period waived, attach your deposit to it, and bring it to the agent to present to the owner. That is a very solid offer. And another purchaser who's only giving verbal offers out there in the market, sort of testing where it's at, whether it's worth their while continuing, and still hasn't been clear of whether they've done the rest of that due diligence and whether they're ready to go. If those offers are the same price, then one of them is going to be an absolute standout. It also can help expedite negotiations. If purchasers are saying they're still getting ready and then there comes a window of time where the owner's not got enough information of where the feedback is, if they've got purchasers that are saying, here's my contract, here's my waived cooling off period as signed off by a solicitor so I understand what's happening here, and here's my deposit ready to enter in if you accept this with authority to exchange from the purchaser or the solicitor, then the exchange of contract is where the deal is actually set and you've locked in the vendor. If other purchasers aren't willing to do that because they might not have had as much time to prepare or they haven't put as much attention into preparing or just aren't ready to go, again, that could stand you out. Now, it doesn't automatically mean that because you come into the office or an open house with a signed contract, whether it's digital or on printed paper, that you're just going to get the property because of that. And the critical factor that comes in here is timing. Now, in a lot of the negotiation books that you can read or YouTube's online, you'll find out that time is a big leverage in a negotiation. And it's not that you try and necessarily win. The true win is winning the property and ending up with the keys. Sometimes people will try and win the battle, but lose the war, as trying to get just another $5,000 off that price or taking a little bit longer to see if they can get it for a better deal, or maybe not responding to a message that came when the agent indicates that there is another genuine offer and it could sell, and sort of just sitting back a little bit. Now, the timing of the whole thing, if there's a buyer that's ready to go and another one that's taking their time, that could be a factor. But if we are in a campaign and the owner just hasn't got enough information, whether it's pre-market, prior to auction, or at an auction or a private treaty property, if they haven't got enough information from other parties, then the timing could be a big thing. So we usually urge buyers not to put deadlines on offers and say, if they don't take it, I'm leaving. That can kind of force an owner's hand sometimes, but it might not force it in the direction you want. What we believe is a more sensible strategy is that you're welcome to keep looking at properties right up until you purchase or even after. But if you are looking at other properties, you can put your offer in, make it ready to exchange on, nice and solid, and be a great fallback option for the owner if they don't find another purchaser that suits their needs better. And then if you purchase another property in the meantime, you can rescind your offer then. But if you leave it active, the owner has you there to consider. Now, there is some concern amongst buyers that will be used as leverage as other buyers, but if that's the maximum you're prepared to go to, there's not a lot of risk in it. And remembering, you are putting yourself in your best position for the owner to accept your offer. So in essence, it all comes down to preparation and communication. We recommend assembling a power team before you get into the purchasing process. Have a solicitor or conveyancer, particularly one that's willing to look at contracts without charging for that initial advice. Then they'll just charge their conveyancing fee, whether they're a solicitor or a conveyancer, when you have successfully purchased a property. You can also get your bank or broker to the point where they are saying to you, you are ready to go and make offers, and you understand clearly from when you've made an offer to when you exchange contract what the element of confidence you can have is and how long that will take. Communicating to the agent on how long it will be from when you make the offer in writing to when you can exchange contracts and what those conditions will be will play massively into your favor. And also remember, if you're offering prior to auction, it is an advantage to put your offer forward. So on a contract with the cooling off period waived, so that the owner doesn't necessarily think that you're just testing the water. They disclose their hand, start the whole negotiation process, and then you decide not to buy. So that program is very structured. On the make an offer links on our website and through our property web books known as a property profile, you will be asked in there how long expected from making the offer to exchange, and your broker and your solicitor can help with this. We strongly recommend getting all this information to your broker and your solicitor early, so that they can inform you when you're ready to make offers. So you're not shooting off a verbal offer or a written offer, but then it could be a long time before you can exchange, because that could put you at a disadvantage. You're better off communicating with the agent, telling them that you're progressing. The more communication you can provide, the better chance you've got of being kept in the loop. With auction properties, if you pre-register with the online forms that we've got, that also puts you in a VIP circle of any important updates that are happening. So when you're making offers, if there's conditions of your offer, whether it be about deposit or settlement or something like that, they're nice and clear and they're kind of black and white things. However, if you're trying to make your offer subject to something that is an opinion or something that the owners don't have control over, that's when an owner might be a little bit more fearful of doing a deal with you and forgoing the opportunity to do a deal with others. For example, subject to finance is not something the vendor can control because they don't know your serviceability, your income, your assets, your liabilities, and your financial position overall. They also don't know how quickly you're communicating with your broker, how competent your broker or bank is. So really, it's quite a risk to sell subject to finance in a lot of cases, whereas the statutory cooling off period allows for a fair bit of time with finance. What you can do with finance is actually waive the cooling off period and have a very specific finance clause with the same rescission fee as a cooling off period, so they know that you're not pulling out for any reason other than finance and you'd need a written rejection letter from the bank. Now, if that's your genuine intention, then that shouldn't be too challenging. Or you could go about getting your finance prepared in advance and make an unconditional offer at the time. Same with pest and building reports. We do get a lot of purchasers, if they haven't had a chance to have a chat to the agent about this topic, to make their offer subject to a pest and building report. Now, of course, you might want to get a pest and building report either prior to exchanging or to review one of the reports that have been provided that can be transferred into your name and talk to the inspectors about that. Or you can exchange with a cooling off period if it's private treaty and that looks like it's okay with other buyers in the market and the owner's preferences, and you can get it done during the cooling off. But if you make it subject to that, what you're essentially doing is making it subject to the inspector's opinion and your opinion, which the vendor can't control. Obviously, if you see a little bit of wood rot on the front veranda of a house that was built in 1920, some buyers might think that's a big deal, other buyers might not think that's a big deal, and the vendor may have already priced for that. So if it's subject to a pest and building report, it's what element of that pest and building report are you concerned about? That's why it's good to be prepared in advance, because the more of the terms that you can remove after having seen that and gotten advice from specialists, the stronger your offer will be for owners. Just remember that the agent is here to help facilitate the transaction. Yes, they are engaged by the owner, but they are most helpful to owners when they're the most helpful to buyers. And what builds that confidence and the clearer picture of where you're at is communication. Let the agent know of your interests. Give accurate feedback of where you'd be interested up to on a property. When you're making offers, try and put as much detail in there as possible about your terms and conditions, exactly who the purchaser is going to be, who your legal representatives, if there's finance involved. The clearer you are on that stuff, the better it's going to be for the agent to help present you to the owner. Bearing in mind, the agent can talk to the purchaser, other purchasers or prospective purchasers, solicitors on both sides or conveyancers on both sides, mortgage brokers, pest and building companies, as well as other colleagues in the office, and understanding what's going on in the campaign. So the central facilitator, being the agent, can help you the most. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you'd like any more information on how to enhance the appeal of your offer or any of the stuff that we've talked about in here, just reach out to our agents through the website or any of our social channels where you might be seeing this.